All right. Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, wherever you are, wherever you eventually watch this recording. Welcome to the spring informational webinar for UCAP's Peace Corps Prep Program. We're going to start with some brief introductions and then tell you a little bit about Peace Corps. I don't like to assume folks know about Peace Corps. And then we'll move on to Peace Corps Prep. We'll tell you all about it. And then at the end, we have two returned Peace Corps volunteers and recruiters here to answer any of your questions about Peace Corps, about their service, anything you would like to know, because I personally did not serve in Peace Corps. So that's kind of the outline of what we're going to do today. We can start with introductions. I have not introduced myself. Apologies. Let me get My name is Sarah Abraham, pronouns she, her. I am the UCAP Peace Corps Prep Coordinator. It's a very long title, but I'm basically the sole advisor across the UC system for this prep program. So I'm the one that's going to help you through your prep application and the prep process that you choose to join. And I am honored to be joined with two amazing colleagues from Peace Corps today who are going to introduce themselves. Carrie from coming live from UC Berkeley. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, Sarah. Hi, everyone. My name's Kerry Carmichael. I served in the beautiful country of Ecuador, and I am the senior recruiter for Peace Corps. I cover most of California, Alaska, and Hawaii. Very happy to be here, and I'm here with a UC Berkeley colleague, Greg Sarah, who is also a Peace Corps volunteer. He served in Cambodia. Just showing me some photos.
Oh, amazing. So actually, we
Criminal.
have three return Peace Corps
Ah,
volunteers you can ask questions to. That's amazing. Thank you. And then live from UCLA, we have Jeffrey. Jeffrey, can you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. So Jeffrey Janis, my pronouns are he, him. I am the UCLA Peace Corps campus recruiter. I have been in this job now for a little over 8 years. I'm thrilled to talk to anyone about Peace Corps and answer Peace Corps prep questions Sarah will do, but Carrie and I will do anything about Peace Corps. And I see a few people here already from UCLA, so shout out to my Bruin folks. Thanks for being here. I also serve on the board of directors of the National Peace Corps Association, which we may talk about a little bit later.
Yeah, thank you so much. Welcome, Carrie. Welcome, Jeffrey. Um, so glad you could join us. So, because I don't want to assume that folks know what Peace Corps is, and it's Peace Corps, the S is silent. Let's talk about it. Jeffrey, what are some things folks should know?
In addition to what's written here. Um,
Whatever you like. You don't have to write off here if you don't want to, but what is Peace Corps?
what I typically will say is Peace Corps is a opportunity to serve and live abroad for 27 months. The traditional program is 3 months of training, which is done in the country, and then 2 years of actual service. Traditionally, you live with a host family the first 3 months of training, and then you live on your own. There are well, actually, we'll get into the application process a little bit later, so I won't go into
Oops,
that.
sorry.
No, that's okay. I can do this either way you want to do this.
No, I didn't mean to forward it.
Um, I think what I say is Peace Corps is an opportunity to really serve abroad and live abroad. What makes Peace Corps uniquely different is that you're not living as an expat, you're not living as an American university housing, you're living by yourself traditionally in smaller towns and smaller villages. You learn a new language, you learn a new culture. It's a great opportunity to really immerse yourself. And I think it's an incredible opportunity that everyone should consider. Even if you say, well, I don't necessarily want to go into maybe some of the sectors. People come back home and they go into anything from business to law to a variety of different things.
That's so true. And can you talk a little bit about, like when I was a student at UCLA, you couldn't pick where you went
So, so
necessarily, but now there's a couple different ways to apply. Can you talk about that?
sure. So I traditionally say there are three ways to technically apply. One is you can apply and say, I'm willing to go anywhere, do anything. Peace Corps is in about 60 countries, a little over, I think it's 61 now. And there are six different sectors. So it's health, education, environment, community, economic development, youth and development, and agriculture. And we'll talk about those in a few minutes. But basically, you can pick the country, and so you can say, I'm willing to go anywhere to do anything. Second option is to say, I really want to do high school math in Botswana. The third option would be a hybrid. You can say, I really want to do high school math in Botswana. If I don't get that, as long as it's in the education sector, or as long as it's somewhere in Africa,
Mm,
or if I don't get what I want, I'm willing to go anywhere, do anything. And when you work with your recruiter, will it be Carrie or me? We will work with you to say, what is your strength? To look what the programs are and where we think you'd be able to get in based on your background and your interest.
perfect. Thank you. So different ways to approach it. More flexibility now than there
Yes.
was in the past. There's also a whole host of benefits from serving in Peace Corps. You want to highlight a few that you maybe personally really appreciated?
So I think the term misnomer, the term volunteer is like a misnomer. You're not volunteering per se. You are volunteering as helping the community, but Peace Corps pays to fly you there. They pay to fly you home. They give you a living stipend based on the local economy. Your housing is taken care of. Your medical, dental, vision is covered while you're a Peace Corps volunteer. If you have student loans, most student loans are put on hold for the 27 months, and many of them have loan forgiveness. You would need to check with your whoever your loan is with to find out if that applies for you. And obviously, tremendous career skills and training. When you come back home, the traditional, you get a little over $10,000 when you finish the service to help you get resettled. Obviously, there are professional skills. The education benefit is really an amazing benefit. There is a program called Coverdale, which is Coverdell. If you look at the Peace Corps website, you'll find that. It's about 120 different universities that have scholarships just for either returned Peace Corps volunteers. And those are scholarships anywhere from $5,000 to $100,000. And also, when you come back home, there is opportunity to get involved with the National Peace Corps Association, which is basically the alumni group that has about 150 affiliate groups. So I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Ukraine. So I'm a member of the Return Peace Corps Volunteers of Ukraine or
Mm,
Return Peace Corps Volunteers and live in Los Angeles. So that's also an opportunity to help you. Part of the career resources and support is through those groups.
fantastic. A whole host of benefits. And these are also posted on Peace Corps' website if you want to read more about them. All right. So because Peace Corps has expanded the different types of ways you can apply and given folks more flexibility, it's a pretty competitive process. And so Peace Corps developed this Peace Corps prep program in partnership with select universities to strengthen the applicant pool, right? To make sure that folks going to college who are interested in Peace Corps could, while they're still at school, develop the skills and experiences that they would need to be the most competitive applicant for Peace Corps. So they came to us and at UCEAP, and so we host this program along with them, and it is self-paced. So we're going to go over the application today. So once the application is in and it's approved, it really is up to you to work through it, and you have until you graduate. So, really is very flexible in that way. And then the other thing I want to mention is, let's say you're not 100% sure you're going to apply to Peace Corps when you graduate or after you graduate. That is totally fine. If you're interested in a career in international development or public service, NGO sector, this is a great preparation for that career. So no obligation to continue on to Peace Corps, but still keep the certificate in mind. It can serve multiple purposes at once. So
Sarah, can I add on something real quickly on that? Because
of course, yeah,
you
yeah,
usually say this. One of the requirements of being a Peace Corps volunteer is that you must be a U.S. citizen.
yes,
You do not need to be a U.S. citizen, though, to do Peace Corps prep.
100% true. Yes. So if you aren't a U.S. citizen, this is a great way to interact with Peace Corps, um, because, like Jeffrey said, the opportunity to serve in Peace Corps will not be open to you. So this is an alternative experience that you can have. Um, so the prep program just is building core competencies, and it's doing it with three different things. So one is coursework, and that's coursework that could be from your transfer institution, from your UC, or while you're abroad at UCEAP, plus hands-on experience, again, in your local community at your UC or while you're abroad, and then professional development support. Most of the stuff you probably want to do before you graduate UC anyways. So we went the benefits of Peace Corps itself. This is a much shorter list, but the benefits of doing the prep program, one is increasing your chance of getting into Peace Corps. And I will say the top two things you can do to get into Peace Corps is the prep program and meet with your recruiter, which for the vast majority of you on this call is either Jeffrey or Carrie. Those are the two most powerful things that you can do to prepare yourself. Like I mentioned before, even if you're not sure you want to do service, this is a resume builder. This is an opportunity to do professional development while you're still at the UC. So it's something you might want to take advantage of. I'm happy to announce we have restarted our alumni mentor program. So you can choose to be paired up with not only a UCEAP alum, but a UCEAP alum that is currently serving in Peace Corps or has returned from serving in Peace Corps. Again, I really love this feature of our program because I myself did not serve in Peace Corps, and I want to make sure, and I know you're in contact with your recruiters, but I want to make sure you have someone that you can talk to about their experience, how they transferred from Peace Corps to career, how they were able to take advantage of some of those benefits to pay for grad school or to score a job in the federal government after they got back. So happy to announce that that is back, and part of one of the benefits of the program. Lastly, you get a certificate from Peace Corps. In fact, I just got an email from Peace Corps this week. They want to know the names of the students who are going to finish this year. And then you get red, white, and blue honor cords from UCEAP when you complete the program that you can wear at graduation. All right, so if you've ever heard of this program before, you might notice some changes in the presentation. And that is because Peace Corps has changed the requirements for the prep program. I'm happy to announce they're not adding, they're taking away. So they're streamlining things and making it easier for folks to complete the prep program. So there used to be 4 core competencies, now there are 3. And we will go into these in detail, but they are training and experience in a work sector, intercultural competence, and professional and leadership development. Work sector, what are we talking about? So there's 6 of them, and Carrie is going to walk us through kind of what they mean. And while he's talking about that, think about your major or things that you're interested on campus and how they might slot into one of these 6 work sectors.
Yeah, so our education sector is our largest sector worldwide. I think we're about 50 countries. Our volunteers focus in on English education, basic math, or basic science. So you'll be doing direct teaching within a school, but you're also going to be doing some curriculum development, some teacher training, curriculum development. So building the capacity of teachers to be more effective in those specific areas. In the health sector, depending upon the country that you're going to, what the need of that host country is, our volunteers focus on child maternal health. They also focus in on basic water, sanitation, hygiene, nutrition, HIV/AIDS, education prevention. Those are the 4 main areas that you might be focusing in on in the health sector. We also have
There we go.
2 more. There we go. The environment sector, I was an environment volunteer in Ecuador. I worked in agroforestry and also environmental education. So our environment volunteers work in those areas, maybe reforestation projects. There's an interesting coastal resources management program in the Philippines, a lot of interesting opportunities in the environment sector. Our agriculture volunteers work primarily to strengthen food security. So working with small farming families, agroforestry is a part of that program as well as nutrition. So great experience working with small farming families and maybe implementing some new crops or integrating some agroforestry systems. We have two more sectors, the youth development and the community economic development. The youth and development program is more our non-formal education activities, working after school, summer camps, girls empowerment, leadership camps, kind of akin to maybe a YMCA. Um, and then the community economic development program, that's our small business program. So our volunteers work primarily in income generation opportunities, maybe working with a co-op of women farmers who are looking to bring a product to market. We also work in financial literacy with youth. So those are the six sectors, and depending upon your education, your skill set, and what you have to offer, but also what you want to learn more about. So just think about that as you think about serving in Peace Corps eventually.
Thank you, Carrie. All right, so there are six sectors. A lot of different majors can fit in those six sectors, but you're going to want to pick one. It doesn't have to be aligned with your major, but it can help, but not a requirement. So you're gonna identify one that you're most interested in, and you're going to find three upper division courses that are related to that sector. Again, it could be if classes you've taken at a transfer institution or classes you've taken already at your UC or plan to take at UC before you graduate. It could also include courses you study abroad with UCEAP. And then you're going to get 50 hours of hands-on experience in that same sector. Now, this can be experience that you're paid for. It could be experience you get academic credit for, or it's experience that you're volunteering for. Up to you how you do that. And again, that could be in your local community or while you're abroad. And then when you complete those 50 hours, we want you to spend a little bit of time reflecting on the experience. And we want you to write a brief essay unpacking that experience and how it's prepared you to be a Peace Corps volunteer in that sector. So you might be thinking, okay, what three classes, right? So on the UCEAP Peace Corps Prep website, there is a student guide I've developed for every single campus. Now, please grant me some grace. The program guides do not reflect some of the changes to the prep program that we're talking about today. So it'll still have the language requirement in there. I haven't been able to update those just yet. But if you go to this section, it is still up to date, and it gives you examples of courses at your UC that could be used to fill all, the six sectors. Isn't it an exhaustive list? No, there's no way I could possibly do that. It'd be hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of courses. But it's just to give you a few examples of the kind of things that we're looking for. So the student guide is your helper as you think about your application. I have a note here. I do want to mention that if you pick education and you actually go to Peace Corps and you serve as an education volunteer, those teaching hours can count in California for your teaching license. That's a huge plus for a lot of people. I want to make sure I mention that. All right, the second core competence is intercultural competence. And that is three self-reflective courses that have a global perspective. These do not have to be upper division like the work sector courses. One of them can be fulfilled by a language course. So language still can be in here if you choose it to be. So one of those can be a language course, any language, including American Sign Language. Another course could be replaced with the fact that you went on a UCEAP program that's in a past or current Peace Corps country. But if none of those apply to you, you just want to take three courses of global perspective. So obviously what comes to mind, global studies. Obviously any global studies course would work, but also area studies. So Middle East studies, African studies, Asian studies, the Asian American studies, Black studies, gender studies, women's studies. Those are all going to give you a perspective that probably is global in nature. A lot of anthropology courses would probably fit in here as well. So you have a lot of flexibility with these three courses that are required for intercultural competence. The second part of this is one term studying abroad with UCEAP, and that could be any program. There's no Peace Corps prep study abroad program at UCAP. This requirement is open to anything. So fall, winter, spring, year, summer, you can go whenever to wherever, as long as it's in the UCAP portfolio. And we want to keep that very flexible because you need to fit in study abroad in the way that makes sense to you. So there's no restrictions on that. And you might want to think about study abroad as an opportunity to get some of these requirements taken care of, maybe if they're harder to do while you're at your home campus. So, for example, if you wanted to um, get your 50 hours in your work sector, you might be able to do that in an internship abroad, for example. Or if you're thinking about work sectors and you really are interested in agriculture, but your UC campus doesn't offer anything in agriculture, you can go to UCAP program that focuses on that. For example, I always bring up Wageningen University in the Netherlands. That's their expertise. So you can actually go there, take a bunch of courses in agriculture, fulfill that requirement, and probably even do some hands-on work, get your 50-hour taken care of too. And if you threw in a Dutch class, then you would take care of one of these self-reflective courses in addition. I'm not saying to put that much pressure on one experience. I'm not saying you have to do that. I'm just saying that's kind of one example of really stacking a lot of the requirements into that experience. Again, not necessary, just illustrating the potential for that. One thing I also want to say is these three courses cannot be the same three courses that you put down for your work sector. So there's no double dipping of coursework or experiences in the program. They all have to be unique. And then when you get back from study abroad, again, we want you to stop and reflect on how you've changed or how that experience changed you. At first, it's hard for students to get past that. It was amazing, which that's wonderful. I like to hear that. There's also a lot more growth behind that. And think about that, reflect on it, write a short essay on how living abroad, thriving abroad, studying abroad has really prepared you for international service. It's one thing to say, yes, I can go live, in a rural town that I've never in a country I've never been to, and it's another one to say, I've already done something similar, and I understand the challenges and whatnot, and I can do it. I've done it before. So that's why we really like having that requirement as part of it. There's a lot of maturing that happens when you study. All right, and then the third component is professional and leadership development. Like I mentioned earlier, these are a lot of things you're going to want to do in your last year at UC anyways. So the first is go get your resume looked at. That's what the Career Center is for. A lot of career centers have, AI software that can do this, and that's fine. You can feed it into the machine, or you can make an appointment and meet with a human being, and they can go over your resume with you. If you do end up applying for the Peace Corps, then your recruiter will probably also help tighten up your resume as well. Never can have too many eyes on your resume. The second one is interview prep. And for some campuses, this is a workshop. On other campuses, it's a video. Whatever your campus offers, just get some kind of insight into the interview process. And again, if you do choose to go on to Peace Corps, your recruiter will also, if you get in contact with them, help prepare you for the interview process as well. The third requirement is a leadership experience. And this is something you have to find on your own. I can certainly help. I put some examples in the student guide, but this can be anything. And I'm always so impressed with what UC students do for this. We have such amazing leaders in our undergraduate population. I'm always just blown away. So a common one is a member of a student government body of some sort or student organization, student group. We've had intramural sports coaches. We've had Girl Scout troop leaders, summer camp counselors, RAs, beach cleanup organizers, food drive organizers. Really, the sky is the limit there. Um, and of course, when it's done, a reflection essay on how that has prepared you to be a Peace Corps volunteer. Now, the leadership thing can be a major commitment, like being president of a student body group, which is maybe for a year, or it can be, the preparation for a single day event. So the duration doesn't matter as much, where it does matter for the work sector, which you need to collect 50 hours. There's no hour amount surrounding this. So you have really a great sense of flexibility with that. And then there's a new requirement, and that is connecting with a Peace Corps recruiter, a strategic campus recruiter, or a returned Peace Corps volunteer at some point before you finish the program. Now, if you are working with your recruiter, one of the two that are on here, then you've already done that. So that is one of the new requirements that Peace Corps has added. Additional program features. So at the end, all of those reflection essays, that was not busy work. That was meant to help you develop a really polished professional piece to the outside world where you can, and also for your interviews, where you can kind of explain why you are a good volunteer or good candidate to be a Peace Corps volunteer. And so you're going to either do an e-portfolio or a LinkedIn profile, and you're going to use those essays, you're going to use that resume, you're going to use the coursework to kind of fill that out to show what an amazing candidate you are. And again, this is helpful whether you're doing Peace Corps or not. It's helping you build a hearty profile as you start thinking about your next steps after graduation at UC. And then, as I mentioned, another feature is the alumni mentor program that is optional. We're not going to force that on you, but it's there if you'd like to participate. So hopefully some of you are interested in this after hearing about Peace Corps and the prep program and what it consists of. So for those who are interested, here are the next steps. First of all, you're doing number 1. Congratulations. 1, check, done. The second would be to apply to the program. And the spring application cycle opens up very soon. It opens March 16th and it runs till April 16th. I invite you all to apply. If you're not quite sure, not quite ready, that's fine. We have an application cycle in the fall, and that is October 15th through November 15th, when we will have the application open, and you're more than welcome to apply then. So just a word about the application. Everyone's application is going to be different. Your application is 100% tailored to you. The courses that you're going to put down, the experiences you're going to put down are unique to you. So do not worry about wrong answers. I've never turned anyone away for having the wrong answers. If there's a course or an experience that doesn't work after you submit your application, that's fine. It doesn't disqualify your application. All it means is you're going to email from me saying, "Hey, do you have another course for this requirement? Let's talk about this." I think I've seen so many people transcripts trying to look through and say, "Oh yeah, this is the class you want to use." So it's kind of a back and forth, a conversation, your application. But so when you're filling it out, don't worry about wrong. Just do the one you think works best for now. And we'll cross that bridge later, whether it needs to be changed or not. So that's basically it. The application is a roadmap of how you're going to fulfill each and every requirement so that I can review it, I can check everything, make sure everything is going to work for Peace Corps, and then tell you, yes, great, your application is accepted, everything looks good, and now you have until you graduate to finish, right? Because then it switches to self-paced mode. So that's kind of that process there. So once you're in, you work on those requirements according to your own schedule. And then in your senior year, you want to start collecting support materials and all the material you're going to, and the exit checklist. That is the final formal documentation that you've done the prep program. And that's what you'll submit at the end. You sign it, and once I review your materials, I sign it, and then you're done. Ah, yes. Jeffrey, can you hammer this message home, please?
Sure, it's to my mute off. So as she said, definitely work with your recruiter. So I only work with UCLA student, faculty, alum. Carrie works with anyone outside of the UC system that's not UCLA. So if you call up Carrie and say, I'm a UCLA student, he's going to say, call Jeffrey. If you call me and say you go to UC Santa Barbara, I'm going to say, call Carrie. So I work just with UCLA students. But traditionally and historically, Peace Corps usually has said that they accept about 15% of all applicants. And if you work with a recruiter, it goes to about 55%. So I think what I always say is we know what they're looking for in terms of like the resume. We know what they're looking for in terms of the personal statement. It's not as though those are right or wrong, but they're looking for specific things. And they get thousands and thousands of applications. And when the resumes, for example, have a certain look, it makes it easier for them to look at it. So
Mhm.
strongly encourage you to reach out to us. And I think is Sean also doing Northern California?
Yeah, he also works at UC Berkeley, so it's I can route anybody to Sean if they reach out to me.
Okay,
But
just making sure. So there's three of us for the state of California, and I am what's called a strategic recruiter strat. Um, and I think we can talk about what it's like to volunteer. We can also connect you with other volunteers. I often have someone says, "Oh, I want to go to the Gambia." Well, I know someone who just came back from the Gambia 6 months ago, so we can also
Mhm.
connect you with those people. Often, someone wants to go into public health. Well, there are three people I know at UCLA School of Public Health who are returned Peace Corps volunteers, so we can also help with those connections and talk about what our experience is like, and really help you guide you through the whole application process.
Excellent. Thank you. Peace Corps is the most networked group y'all will ever meet. So take advantage of it. I'm always blown away about how connected and networked they are. Also, too, as part of your application to Peace Corps is your motivation statement. And the essays, the reflection essays are going to help with that, but your recruiters are going to know even better what to look for in that motivation statement.
Sarah, if I can say something about the resume as well, I know that
Yeah.
most institutions tell students to put everything onto one page. Peace Corps accepts up to 3 pages for a
Okay.
resume, almost like a CV. So we want to know more about students than less. So any type of volunteer work, any non-paid work, we deem that as valuable as paid work. So if you've done some great volunteer work, internship work, you definitely want to include that onto your resume. If you've had any leadership positions, as you talked about, Sarah, maybe a club president, definitely include that as well. And any type of study abroad or any type of international experience, that's also a good thing to add. So that's something that Jeffrey and I can take a look um, and give you some good advice.
Oh, that's great. And language ability, I imagine, too. Yeah, language
And
ability.
I'll throw in there, we, because of our position, we're not the decision process, but we know what they're looking for. So our
Mhm.
job is to help coach you to say, first of all, is this what you want to do? But then also to help you get in.
Mhm.
So I always say to students when I meet with them, sit back and relax. I'm not the one making the decision, but I know what they're looking for. So let us help you to present yourself in a way of what they're looking for.
Exactly. Got to meet with the recruiter, y'all. All right. So these, I don't know, I haven't seen the comments we have yet here, but here are some common questions I get. Let me see if it helps with any of the questions in the audience. So eligibility. So that's good. Any major. We don't care about major, and we don't care about citizenship. We already talked about that. Just good academic standing, and that's usually 2.5 GPA. And then at some point in your undergraduate career, a UCEAP experience. That is the extent of the eligibility. Let's see, I mentioned some of these earlier. I just wanted to stress some of them though. Can previous coursework or experience fulfill requirements? Yes, if they're college, right? We want college experiences, college courses. Let's leave high school in the past. Um, let's see. Want to reiterate, this program itself is not a particular study abroad program of the University of California. It's a certificate program at which you can choose to go on any of our study abroad programs. The question at the bottom is my favorite question. I'm a senior and I'm just finding about this now. Is there still time for me to do this program? Maybe. I just met with a student Monday who just found out about this program. She's a senior. She has done every single requirement already. So I said, yeah, apply in the spring. She's finishing actually in the fall, and she will be done in the fall. So you can be in the program a quarter or semester for Berkeley Merced folks, or you can be in your first year and be in it all 4 or 4.5 or 5 or whatever, and many years you end up being at UC. So it can be possible. It just depends. Please reach out to me as soon as you can, and let's talk about it. Let's talk about whether that's possible or not. It really is person to person. All right, here are the application cycles I mentioned. The spring one is coming up. Here is, so I talked about our webpage. So that's where you might have gone to register for this webinar. So you might already know where it is, but if not, there you go. All the student guides are there. The application checklist is there, and that's just to show you what will appear on the application so you can prepare ahead of time. My email is there, and so is a link to find your recruiter. But like as we said, your recruiters you've been introduced to, they're on the call. All right, I'm going to stop share just for a second and then share. I got to get out of presentation mode.
So while you're doing that,
Yes.
I'll do a plug for Sarah.
Okay.
Um, I love working with Sarah, and every time I hear these presentations, my head kind of starts to spin. I'm like, oh my God, it's not anywhere nearly as complicated as it sounds. It's actually incredibly easy, and she will work with you to make this really easy. I don't know of anyone I don't know of anyone who's wanted to do Peace Corps prep and said, oh, it just doesn't work with my classes.
Mm.
She will make it work with your classes, short of it being something very, very bizarre. I always say, as long as you do UCEAP, study abroad, she will work with you. So,
I do my best. Yeah. When in doubt, come meet with me. Let's see what might be possible. This program is built to be pretty flexible. I've sent engineering majors, I've sent chem, I've sent sociology, anthropology, arts. I think I've sent students of every major on this program. So don't let your major turn you off.
or the requirements, because they're all going to be classes, as Sarah just mentioned, that someone who's just graduated, she's already done everything just
Yeah.
by default. It's not that complicated. It's actually very simple. It's a great program.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Let's see. Trying to pull up and I'm struggling. Let's see. I don't know where my share button went. Let's see.
You know, I don't have a share button either on mine. I guess I do. I do have a share button on mine.
It was just there and now. Oh, there. I see it now. Sorry. Oh man. I swear I'm with it. So to find our website again, so this is the um, landing page of UCAP. We're now under prepare. Don't ask me why. Um, but here's our landing page. Here is my email, peacecorpsprep@ucap.universityofcalifornia.edu. It's a mouthful, but there it is. You don't have to write it down. You just need to know where to go on this place. Here's a great video you can check out that my colleague did. Here's that link to registration for the webinar that I was telling you about. So how to apply. Again, it kind of recaps what we said here. Here's the checklist. Application link will be live once the cycle is open. And here are the student guides for all the campuses. So you might want to check some of those out. So for example, for UCLA, It's going to walk you through every requirement and it's going to give you examples of how to do every single requirement at UCLA and abroad. So for the UCLA students, that's yours. All the other UCs, you're here too. And then as you get further into the program, this section is for you. And then about Peace Corps, you want to know more about resources, benefits, about Recruiter, all that information is here for you to check out. So when in doubt, come to this space and find out the information that you need. All right, let's tackle some of the questions and then we'll open it up to, again, put your questions in if you have questions for our returned Peace Corps volunteers about their experience or questions about Peace Corps itself. The first one, this is why I love having recruiters on the call because I can't answer questions like this.
I can answer that one, Sarah.
Okay.
About, yeah, how inclusive is Peace Corps for people with ADHD or neurodivergence? Great question. So all volunteers, after they have been conditionally accepted into Peace Corps, have to go through a medical and a legal clearance. And so at that point, that would be part of the medical clearance. And I really can't give too much more information other than that, but that is part of the clearance process.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We have a question here about applying to the, what am I talking about when I'm talking about applying to the program? So I'm talking about applying to Peace Corps Prep. That's what the fall and the spring cycles are for. There is a separate application for Peace Corps should you want to do that after you graduate. And that is what you're going to work with your recruiters on. Work with me, Peace Corps Prep, work with recruiters on Peace Corps. And one thing to think about is Peace Corps is kind of like study abroad, where you apply 6 to 9 months ahead of time. It's not something you do right before you want to leave. So if you want to serve in Peace Corps, start your service a month or two after you graduate, you might want to start thinking about that in the December or January, probably, yeah, December at the latest of your senior year. It's not something spontaneous you can do because of those checks and evaluations that Carrie was talking about.
So every job posting will say apply by date. So it'll say apply by April 1, no by June 1, depart September 20th. So every position will have that. And when I will say, and I also say to people, let's say, even if let's say you're third year, say, well, I'm not really ready yet to apply now. Look now, because if there's a program, I'm making this up, there's a program now opening in Ghana for agriculture that's going to be departing this September, it's going to probably open up again next year, the same time for the following September. So it gives you a sense of kind of start looking in advance of what the cycles are going to be for those countries and for those positions.
Yeah, and that brings up a really good point. If you're really determined to do Peace Corps, which I've met quite a few students who are, start looking at those postings now. And you can even use the prep program to kind of prepare yourself for, that exact thing won't be ready and while, when you eventually apply, but get a sense of what they're looking for and then use the prep program to kind of build on those things to make yourself the best candidate possible. Something to think about. A question about when to apply to Peace Corps Prep. Do you have to wait till you come back from studying abroad or until you've taken a certain number of courses? No, I have first year students apply in their first term. You don't have to have anything complete. In fact, I would argue the longer you're in the program, the better, right? The more time you get with your mentor, the more time you get with your recruiter. So you don't have to wait. You just have to want to do it. So get it in. So they're planning to study abroad in the fall and graduate in the winter. Apply now. I mean, you could apply while you're abroad in the fall, but then you're only going to be in the program for a month. I mean, for a quarter. So I say do it now. Okay. Other one, how do we get in contact with a recruiter? So the link that I showed you on UCAP's Peace Corps Prep page, that's the form, but you can always go there. But both of these amazing folks dropped their email address in the chat. So you can reach out to them. Email, I'm sure, I'm imagining, yeah, you want by email. Yes, email them. Uh, yes. So if you don't know exactly what classes are going to be available and you don't know exactly what you want to take, what should you do on the application? Um, that's a great question. Thank you for reminding me. I totally get that plans change, right? Oh, I need this genetics class because I'm in the health sector and they don't offer it the quarter I need it. I totally get it. Your plans can change. So if put your best guess of what you like to take in those for to fulfill those requirements, knowing that that's fine. I'm not going to hold you to it for forever and ever. All I ask if you do change your mind after you get into the prep program is just to email me and say, hey, Sarah, this class I wanted, they're not offering it at a time that's convenient for me. I got to think of something else. Here's what I'd like to do instead. And I'll just look at it and make sure it's going to count and say, good to go. Please do that before you sign up for the class. And this is true too for any changes in your work sector or leadership. Please run it by me first. I'd hate for you to collect 50 hours of something that's not going to work or not going to count. So just run any changes by me. Yeah, I totally expect that's going to happen. Um, Someone said they're a senior, they've met all the requirements, and they're worried. Don't be worried. Reach out to me. Let's talk. Let's talk, please. I want to hear from you. Let's see if we can get rid of the worry. Here's a question for the recruiters. How much vacation will you have as a Peace Corps volunteer?
You want to take that, Carrie? You want me to?
I could take it. So you get 2 days of vacation per month that you serve, and just almost just like a regular job. You accrue 2 days, um, not during training. So it starts once you become a Peace Corps volunteer. So if you think of you serve for 24 months, multiply that by two, you get 48 vacation days. It's a pretty good healthy amount as you accrue. So you can accrue a certain amount, accrue a week vacation, and then take some time off. So you do get those vacation days, but Peace Corps does not pay for you to go on vacation. That's out of your own pocket.
Can
And
you talk about the new pilot though that has the break?
Yeah. So we have 3 different pilot programs going on. Not all of them are on the website at one time. You just have to kind of see. There's a special little banner for these special pilot programs. Um, so kind of dangling a carrot in front of a program that might not get as many applications, perhaps. Um, so one is a 12-month service, so just a year service with 3 months of trainings for a total of 15 months. So it's a shorter service term. That's one pilot program. The other one is that readjustment allowance that you get after you complete your service that Jeffrey talked about, the $10,000. That's double. So you get 20,000. So that's a pretty nice little perk. That would be for a 2-year term of service. And then the last one is a mid-service break where you get a paid for vacation by Peace Corps. So it's a 2-week paid vacation back to your home of record, and Peace Corps will pay for that. But that's just for those special pilot programs. So I think there might be 1 or 2 on the website right now.
Thank you, Carrie. And I noticed you said you wanted to answer in these earlier questions. Is there anything you want to add to anything that we said? Sorry, I didn't pay attention to that.
that's you, Carrie. You muted.
I think we covered everything.
Okay,
Right.
excellent.
Yeah.
And
Um, we have 10 minutes. Does anyone want to put in a chat any questions about Carrie's service or Jeffrey's service? Oh, here we go. Can the recruiters speak on the type of work experience they gained after serving with the Peace Corps and what the network looks like or is like?
Take it away, Jeffrey.
okay. So I did Peace Corps. I speak for myself, but I think that will kind of help I did Peace Corps mid-career. I did it when I was in my mid-40s. I have an MBA with a focus in nonprofit management, and I work primarily for nonprofits. When I joined the Peace Corps, I was sent to Ukraine, and I worked with a couple nonprofits there, helping with grant writing, fundraising, strategic planning. So because of that, and my experience, I was had a job that was not a traditional type of experience. Um, but I also did it because I said mid-career, I wanted to have international experience on my resume. And I think it was really important for me to have that. One thing I always say to everybody is that even if you're going to be a community economic development volunteer, youth development, almost every volunteer has what are called secondary projects. Secondary projects are what you do in your evenings, your weekends, your free time. I had three secondary projects. I was the chair of the HIV/AIDS group, helping to teach other Peace Corps volunteers on HIV and AIDS in Ukraine. I also had an English club. This was university level students who wanted to learn English. My experience is that almost every single Peace Corps volunteer has an English club. There's always someone there. And even if it's not an official English club, it's going to be two or three people you know who want to learn English. You're going to be teaching English on the side, which is always fun. And then I also taught American Sign Language to deaf Ukrainians, as I'm fairly fluent in American Sign Language. So I think the experience that I got was really expanding my professional background of nonprofit to say an international experience. I think in terms of the network, as Sarah said, it's almost like it's if we don't know each other, we act like we know each other. And I mean, Carrie and I kind of joked about this. I'm like, it's like, if someone calls me and says, you don't really know me, but I'm a return volunteer and my friend so-and-so serves wherever. I'm going to be in LA for a conference. Can I stay with you for 2 nights? I'm like, sure. And
Yeah.
you don't, that's just kind of, and that's how it is even as a Peace Corps volunteer. I happen to love to cook. And I'd have volunteers. When I served in Ukraine, they had more volunteers than anywhere else. There were about 350 volunteers. And I would get volunteers randomly calling me saying, hey, I'm going to be passing through your town. I have a 5-hour train layover. Can I come over for dinner? I hear you like to cook. I was like, sure. I mean, that's just kind of, it's a support. I said, and through the National Peace Corps Association, that really is also where the network is through. And so there's a lot of work experience. Again, I would say at the same time, my closest Peace Corps friend was a education volunteer. She now works for the State Department as a Foreign Service officer. So don't get stuck in the mindset of, well, I don't want to teach English. I want to go into law or I want to go into agriculture. It's the skills that you get are more in interpersonal of who you are, how you look at the world, how you deal with challenges. So much of Peace Corps, I think people think that it's the hardships of not having electricity or running water in many countries. And most Peace Corps volunteers will say that was easy. It's the cultural adjustments that are harder. But then you come home and you kind of feel like I can kind of do anything. It's an inner strength that you have that is hard to really explain. Do you want to add on to that, Carrie?
And I also just think that, getting that 2 years of real practical field experience while you're a Peace Corps volunteer is really going to set you up for success. After I've worked in three different Latin American countries, and those were all two of those were due to my Peace Corps experience. So, if you're interested in international development, international policy, Peace Corps is a no-brainer because you're really going to get that experience. And a lot of Peace Corps volunteers, like Jeffrey said, go on to work with the State Department and different government agencies as well. So,
But
yeah, lots of
I'll throw out there though, but I also love to throw out the name Reed Hastings, who Reed Hastings was the president and CEO of Netflix. He's a returned Peace Corps volunteer who served in what was at the time Swaziland is now Eswatini. There's a gentleman, Charlie Gifford, who created the luggage company To Me
Mm.
Luggage. He's a returned Peace Corps volunteer. So yes, many people do go into international affairs or education or nonprofit, and a lot come back and have very successful careers. They go and become politicians, law degrees. It really is across the board. Um, so
Yeah, and there is one of the benefit is non-competitive status for federal agency jobs, right? And I know some Peace Corps volunteers have used that to secure jobs at the CDC, at the State Department, at various agencies across the federal government and really launch their careers that way. Another benefit of that. And the network, y'all, is real. And it's not just while you're in Peace Corps, it's for the rest of your life. Very, very connected folks there. We have a new question about, and I don't have the answer to this. I've asked for it, but have never received it. Do we know Peace Corps acceptance statistics for people who've done prep versus not done prep? I have not ever seen those. We know the statistics for those who work the recruiter, though, right? I think that's 55% more likely.
Yeah, exactly. 55%
Mhm.
more likely. Yeah, I don't know if there are stats out there about the prep program, but it's definitely going to make you more competitive for sure because those are all the things we're looking for. We're looking for volunteer work, we're looking for international experience. So you're getting all of that with the Peace Corps prep certificate.
And I'll just add on, particularly the study abroad. I tell every student, you know what, do study abroad. And that is kind of set almost one of the kind of the core requirements of the Peace Corps prep. And that is very much going to show the experience. And people say, well, do I have to go to a country like Ghana or Zimbabwe? Or no, you can go to Spain, you can go to France. It's still international experience.
Yeah,
So it's not as though I've not seen a correlation between someone who goes to a more kind of more challenging country than an easier country that makes a difference. It's just the concept of living abroad and serving abroad.
absolutely. I met with a professor at UC Riverside last week, and she was talking about how important she thought the study abroad component was. She's like, I learned so much about myself. I learned how to be alone. I learned how to be comfortable with ambiguity. I learned to be more independent. And those are all things that I used directly as soon as I graduated in the Peace Corps in Madagascar. So, yeah, it's a valuable, valuable experience if you can do it. And that is to say, and I always say this to folks, if you can't do UCAP before you graduate and then thus can't do the prep program, that is not the end of the world. Use the program as a like a shadow program of like preparing yourself. Get the hours, get the 50 hours, get the leadership experience, get some coursework related to a work sector. You don't need the prep program. I'm going to say that, but you don't need it to get in. You're a UC student. You're going to work with a recruiter. That's 55% increase right there. So if it doesn't work, that's fine. Just, Peace Corps developed this program. It is what they're looking for. Just work on it on your own, and you probably do just fine. So don't get discouraged by
I say the same thing, Sarah. Just so you
that. Don't get discouraged. All right. Any last minute questions about Ecuador or Ukraine? All right. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you to my amazing panelists, Jeffrey and Carrie, who are your recruiters. So please, if you have questions about Peace Corps, reach out to them. If you have questions about Peace Corps prep, please reach out to me. And take care, y'all.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thanks, Sarah.
See you, Jeffrey.
Oh.
Talk to you soon, Gary.